behemoth in England, and you cannot take your eye off them. So let's just segue into Man City. We're talking about Arsenal. Man City, they've lost 3 straight domestic games. They lost against Wolves. They lost against Newcastle in the EFL Cup. Lost against Wolves. Lost against Arsenal. And is this an issue? Should it be? We know Man City had brought in new bodies into the team, in the likes of Doku, Nunes, and there is a Calvin Phillips struggling. Martins mentioned something about Guardiola building a system, but we've seen that system, being tested. We've seen that system shaky. We've seen that system because 2 players are not in that system. All of a sudden, the cards are falling. So should we say Man City or Pep right now is finding it difficult to bed in these new players? Case in point, Doku, Grealish. We know Grealish was injured from the beginning of the season, but we saw a statement being released by Pep during the week that both of them have to fight for that position. He's trying to create a competition on the left wing or on the right wing, either way, but we don't see that competition being created in the middle of the park. Rodri has been out for 3 games and they've lost all those games. So is this a Pep's conundrum? Martin, you can go first.
Okay, thank you. Amy. So the thing is, one thing about systems that I've come to understand over time, at least from my professional experience on the job, right? Not football now, is the fact that systems they take time to build, right? And when you introduce new bodies into the system, you understand. If you're a tech person, you know these
Yep,
things.
yep.
When you introduce a new body into the system, there might be a little bit of deviation as per results. You understand? But most times, for people like Pep Guardiola, football genius. It's a general consensus that Pep is a footballing genius. The fact that he's had a little bit of deviation from what his expected results should be based on the new bodies that is introducing into the system does not mean that he will not see it as a learning curve. I understand the fact, I acknowledge the fact that they missed Rodri, no doubt, in their last 3 games. They lost those 3 games. Rodri is one very
Domestic games, because they won the Champions League,
domes-
because Rodri played.
champion,
Yeah.
exactly, in domestic games.
Rodri played in that.
Yep. And they
Set,
won 3-1. Rodri played against
yeah,
Leipzig. I
Yeah.
mean,
against
RB
Leipzig,
Leipzig.
yeah,
Yep. Leipzig.
and
Yep.
they won. So it's obvious now to Pep that Rodri is a very important piece in the system. So from what I've observed from with Pep over the years, once he observes something like that, he will immediately find a way, and that's the beauty of systems. It's about the system, as I've said earlier. He will find a way. He will find a way through his juniors to make sure that he patches that hole, just in case there's something, just in case he doesn't have Rodri in the system. No doubt, it cannot be perfect. It might take a while. And one thing about the Premier League is you are not afforded a lot of time. If you lose too much games and you are taking time to build something or you are trying to patch something up, you'll be missing out, and somebody will be building on your losses and all of that. So, in summary, what I'm trying to say is this: it is obvious at this point that Rodri is like like an engine room for that thing, and if he's not there, they are obviously going to be missing out on something. But I don't trust Pep to lag. He will find something. He will fix something. He will grind out results one way or another against those small teams. I don't mean disrespect to any team here, but when I say small team, but you all know what I'm saying here. He will grind out the result against those teams. I can stop it. When I when I said small team, I know you had Man United in mind, but that's by the way. So he will find a way to get those results until the general window comes in. You understand? And I trust Sheikh Mansour to invest for him when he walks up to him and say, hey, Rodri is the pivotal part of my team. I need some sort of backup for him, just in case he's not around. That backup might not necessarily get the 100% results that Rodri will get, but at least something that will cover up for me. And let's not fool ourselves. I hear a lot of people say things like general transfer window, you don't get the best deals and whatever. It is not. No. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that statement. A lot of people, I've seen a lot of teams go into the general transfer window and get players that can patch up for them. And the funniest thing about the Premier League is the fact that the league more or less starts, so to say, starts around February. And that's one thing Pep capitalized on last season. You understand? He has winners in his team, he has leaders in his team. All he needs to do is sign one or two players, to be like a backup for those guys that are supposed to be 100% performing at optimal level. You understand? So I really do not believe that one player will be the reason why Pep Guardiola's team or Pep Guardiola's structure is going to crumble. I hate to say this as a Manchester United fan. I can't wait to see that guy leave England, English football, because it's a problem. You understand? But it is the fact. The fact has to be laid down. You understand? It's a problem. The guy understands the game. You understand? And he has built a system. All he needs to do is plug in one or two
Mm.
persons. If it is not his first choice, the second choice. The second choice might not get optimum results, you understand? But the second choice will definitely do the job because the system in quotes is there. You understand? So let's not jump the gun and assume that Rodri is going to be Rodri's absence. I mean, how many games is he going to miss
He should play their
realistically?
next game. He should play their
Apart
next
from
domestic game. I don't know who Man City is playing, but he should be playing in the EPL.
aside
Yeah.
from red card, he's not an injury prone player. If he doesn't get a red card, he's going to play those games and it's going to be pivotal. It's going to be pivotal for their results. So I mean, it's a little bit of I don't know how to put it now. The
Yeah,
grammarians should come in. Akin wants to.
Martins, I get your point. I think Akin will come in after, or I'll allow Chimama to come in. I can just hold your thoughts. You know, I get your point because we laud Pep. Everybody gives him his flowers. Nobody tries to criticize him one way or the other. And I listened to a couple of Man City fans after that loss against Arsenal at the Emirates in game week 8, criticized Pep for what he did, playing Kyle Walker on the right back because they criticized. And this guy brought facts on how Kyle Walker has not really added to whatever Man City did. If you notice in the running for the league last season and also in the Champions League, Pep went for the back four of Akonji, Diaz,
Okay.
this Ake, and one other person. Walk.
Okay, yeah.
No, there were four: Akonji,
I think it
Walker,
was Stones.
Akonji, Stones, Diaz.
Yeah, this guy that went to the Saudi Arabia. I think what's his name now?
Laporte.
Yeah,
Laporte. Yeah,
if you
I
notice,
think it was yeah.
he froze Walker out of the team, and even in the Champions League, Walker came in during I think few minutes to go. I don't know if my stats have me right, and you could see they moaned, and you could also see in that for me, my critics to Pep here is that midfield role. You have a natural replacement in Calvin Phillips, and we know we touched this on our last episode, Chimamaka, where we said there is a natural replacement for Rodri in that central or defensive midfield pattern, but he keeps overlooking the guy for whatever reason. And here it is. Why would you say you want to create a competition on the wing between Doku and Grealish, but you're not looking at doing that in the midfield for Rodri? You mentioned in January which player would want to come into a team where he knows he would never sniff any minute of play with Rodri being the number one in that position. So it's a bit of conundrum for Pep here. And we always laud him and praise him. He needs to fix this. But for someone like me, I'm waiting for him to fix this because it's really an issue. Chimamaka, you can have your say.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Pep, actually, in that game, I would actually blame him for it because if you saw at the later end of last season, we never knew that there was a certain John Stones who could sit back as number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody actually pinpointed that guy can be very, very useful in that position. Now, why am I saying this? The 3 games wherein Rodri was missing only showed that he is not just an integral part of the team. He is the main man in his position to play for Pep. Now, if Pep, who is I think he's the best tactical footballing manager I know presently on earth. If he is that tactically sound and he knows the Arsenal team he'll be playing with, wherein he's not playing with his best midfielder, then I think all you need to do is create a source of control and cause a lot of chaos Why? Because you are losing it. You are losing on one of your best players in the midfield. So, in my opinion, that game, I'll give credit to Arteta. Arteta came with the game plan. Pep gave me the game plan, but Arsenal nicked the 3 points. I wouldn't say the game was shambolic. It was boring at some point because it was a strength of tacticality from both managers. That was what I saw in that game. Nobody wanted to lose a foot. Nobody wanted to lose a chance or the likes. But in this case, even with the absence of Rodri in that game, the game was a balanced game.
Mm-hmm.
Either we like it or not, it was a balanced game.
Yeah.
So imagine when you have a Rodri in that game, it gives Pep an edge in the midfield. But because Arsenal, who have built on from last season and have added one or two who is bringing about stability in their midfield, can come in and add the edge they had last season, puts a little percentage to it to nick out the 3 points.
So sorry for barging in. Why fail to use a natural 6? Why fail to use a natural 6 and start a Bernardo Silva in that 6th position?
I would answer you. In the natural 6 you're talking about in Calvin Phillips, truthfully, does not suit that Manchester City team. In one of our podcasts, I told you earlier, one of our podcasts we had, that we talked about Calvin Phillips. You asked why is Calvin Phillips not playing in a Man City, in a Pep Guardiola Man City squad? Now, we know that after he came in, he had some terrible, a lengthy layoff of injuries, and on coming back, he could not fit into Pep's gameplay. Now, the only reason why Calvin Phillips is still in Manchester City is because on discussion with Pep Guardiola, his wife just put to bed, and he said he doesn't want to leave Manchester anytime soon. He wants to be around with his family. That is for family reasons, but for footballing reasons, he would not make a starting shirt in Manchester City. That's the truth. So, if for footballing reasons you are asking why is the natural number 6 not playing, bro, he's not in the plans.
So why sign him for that huge amount? Because that's the conundrum here. Why sign him for that huge amount?
Don't forget, he signed him when Calvin Phillips was one of the best players.
Exactly my point.
League.
So if we had let me just oppose this. Let me just oppose this. So if we had an Eric Ten Hag in this situation, or a Mikel Arteta in this situation, signed a player for 50-something million, and the player is not yielding, or the player is not starting, instead of you to start that player him being the natural player you could use in that position, and you're using a makeshift in that position, I'm sure their head will be on a spike right now. But I don't know why people just don't feel to criticize Guardiola for whoever it is. With all due respect to Guardiola.
No. You won't criticize Guardiola. Why? Because he has been grinding results with all he has been.
So you won't. These managers have they not been grinding results? They have been grinding results. They have been grinding results.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why Guardiola's case is different. Now, you wouldn't literally pick out 1-2 faults in Guardiola's games in a span of 5 straight games. If he messes up in the first 3 games, you realize that he makes changes in the next 2 games. He's not that useless. He's tactically sound. Now, in the case of a number 6, that is Calvin Phillips playing that position, it's because he does not fit into what Pep has in plan for that game.
He didn't start this guy in the EFL tie against Newcastle. He didn't start him against Wolves. He didn't start him against Arsenal. Come on, what more?
He is not in his game plan. Understand me. He is not in his game plan. Let's not forget, you talked about Arteta. Arteta throws out Pepe. You cannot just look at if these players are bought for a whole sum and they refuse to want to perform, bro, and you see somebody who costs 90% less doing the job, I don't think because of the amount. First of all, the goal of a manager is to grind out results. It's not to grind out failures. So if your big money is costing you your results, bro, let him sit down on the bench with a seat belt and a helmet. So in this case, I don't see a reason why
dropped 6 points for that case.
Yeah, they dropped 6 points.
Injuries.
So,
injuries happen. So what if Rodri goes 2 months lengthy layoff? What happens? I'm not praying doom for Rodri.
As Martin said earlier, Guardiola, if you've known Guardiola over time, he would definitely bring. He won't bring 100% fit player for that role, because first the player would have to learn to the letter on instructions. Pep plays on strict instructions. You might have the extra flair, that is an advantage to just you. But for Pep, you would every comma in his book, every full stop will be adhered to. So that is what Pep brings to a team. So any extra talent you have is an addition to your game. Now we are saying that this season, De Bruyne is not there. We all know what De Bruyne brings to anything. You know, with De Bruyne in that squad, by now you should be telling me that Haaland has scored 12 goals. Because by this time last season, bro, he was very close to that.
Exactly. That's another criticism.
But we don't,
That's another criticism.
but now
Yeah,
we don't have we don't have a De Bruyne there. Literally, this guy is literally begging to get the ball in his feet.
exactly. Let us hear.
I don't know if you get
Chumaka,
that.
thank you for your thoughts, but let us hear Akin's thoughts, because he has just been smiling, griping. He has something he wants to say. What's your take on this Pep's conundrum of no Rodri, no KDB?
Okay. Looking from last season, there were 4 leaders to team: Rodri, Gundogan, KDB, and Ruben Diaz. 3 of them are missing. No Rodri, no KDB. Gundogan has left.
Mm-hmm.
He's brought in new players. And like Pep always told you, these players have to play together consistently for the system. Because now it's just like they pull down the previous system. These players, you've brought in new players. It's not just plug and play. They have to. They're human beings. They have to understand, assimilate, and over time they get to play better. So first of all, I don't think it's a problem for Pep, because most of the players has gotten Kovacic, Matheus Nunes, like Vadio. These guys are just new, and then they over time, obviously they get to play like better in the system. They get to play better in the Manchester City system. But for the Calvin Phillips issue, first of all, Chimamaka is right. Calvin Phillips is more a Pep kind of player. I think Pep came out in one of his press conferences, came out to say that he apologizes for not being able to get the best out of Calvin Phillips, the way Marcelo Bielsa got the best out of him. So I don't think, trust me, except that he going to Pep said he's not going to start Calvin Phillips anymore. He would rather play Fernando Silva there, rather play John Stones there. He would rather play Vadio there than play Calvin Phillips. So it is rock bottom for Calvin Phillips. He's frozen out of the team. It's not going. You'll rather play Matheus Nunes there in that position. So I don't think it is a problem for Pep. Trust me, over time his team is going to gel. They're going to get better. Their leaders are going to come back, because obviously you having like one leader from 4 leaders, the rest of the team is going to take a whole lot for them to come together, pull through. So in the short term, they might not be able to grind out results. Trust me, Rodri comes back, we'll see a different Manchester City. So if Rodri gets injured, if KDB gets injured, if Ruben Diaz gets injured, there are going to be issues. And it's now like the onus is now on Pep to be able to grind the rest of his players, rally them together, and make sure they get results. Which, that's one thing Pep can do. That's one thing we all know Pep can do. But in the 3 straight games they've lost, I don't think it's an issue. It's just like a blip in the road. Trust me, if they have a consistent run of games, a consistent 4, 5, 6, 7 games across different competitions, these guys will gel together, they play together. And in the January window, I know we were saying that, are they going to get like someone who's going to play a second fiddle to Rodri? I don't think they need to get like a new shiny toy, a big like signing to like deputize. There are people I know, there's this Federico Redondo guy on the Under 20 World Cup. He's really good. I'll give you an instance. Look at Julian Alvarez. If you remove Haaland from the Manchester City team and you put in Julian Alvarez, I think it would be more destructive for opposition teams, because that guy is cheap fee. He's coming from the Argentine league, but he is a star player. So they're like shiny gems. They don't need to be like a like expensive signing, just like tiny gems where a lot of people can't see. We pick them out. They'll really be happy to play for Manchester City. So I just think it's just a matter of like the team playing like more games to gel, to gel more and they'll get back on track. It's the 3 games, it's Manchester City for crying out loud.
Well, for me,
They
as
won't-
an Arsenal fan, I want Man City to keep dropping points. I don't mind, for the sake of
They play.
for the sake of we are amassing the points. But the truth being told, we talked about Arsenal earlier. If Man City give Arsenal that gap, as last season Arsenal were like 8 points or how many points ahead, I think it will be very difficult to get Arsenal back to catch up with Arsenal. That's just my opinion.